where Dragon Charlie lives. Oh, speaking of, we had a voice note sent in by Charlie, just letting us know how she's doing. So, over in rural Andalusia, this guy's a shepherd. He mentions at the beginning that he's literate and can read, and he tells, like, a girl's like, oh, you can read. Then, why are you a shepherd? And he's like, because I like my sheep, and I like wandering around. Why would I not be?
And it's not in Wales.
No, it's not in Wales.
Okay.
So you've been in Andalusia, so I don't know if that... We've been in the cities, of course, but that might help place it a bit for you geographically.
Yes.
But he's wandering around the countryside near where we've been. And it's quite a simple life. He goes around, like, touring around a little bit, and he goes to people that shear sheep and things, and they get wool. And he has one girl that he likes in the beginning, and he can't wait to get back to her town because he'll get to talk to the girl he likes, and then that doesn't happen.
Oh.
He was meant to be a priest. His family wanted him to be a priest because he's literate, and he was like, no, I enjoy travelling, I want to go around with my sheep. He's quite simple. You know, one of these people that's just like, just pure. You know? Like, it never occurs, like, why are you not in a better job? He's like, I like my sheep. Like, it's very simple, simple-minded in a good way, you know? And he starts to get ideas, though, like, wouldn't it be cool to travel to these other places? Now, this will make sense to you because if you've been there, you can travel easily to Africa from Andalusia, which we did, actually. You can go to Tangier. So he goes to Tangier. And they mention, like, it's not like other places in Africa. Sometimes you can get robbed here. And I'm like, well, we did almost get kidnapped when we were there, so...
Yeah. We were following a mafia member to some undisclosed location.
Down twisty little streets, away from the entrance that we were looking for.
Yep, the exact opposite direction,
Yeah.
if anything.
Yeah. Use the kids. So, yeah. But he starts saying to his dad, like, I want to go here and see these cool places and these castles and whatever, and his dad says to him, people from all over those places come to visit Andalusia, and they always prefer it here. You don't have to always go somewhere else, you know? Not that he's saying the other places aren't good. I think he's trying to teach him, like, the grass isn't always greener, basically. But he has a dream that he will find a treasure at the Egyptian pyramids.
Okay.
So that's why he travels through Morocco and then eventually east to Egypt. Which is a long journey for a little shepherd boy. So he has to sell his sheep. He meets a gypsy woman and she gives him some, like, prediction or whatever, and she says, oh my god, you're going to make a big treasure. You'll have to come back and give me 10% of whatever you make. And he's like, yeah, cool. Then some guy, the king of Salem, I think he calls himself, takes 10% of his sheep immediately. But it's fine because he eventually, like, sells all the sheep on anyway. Goes to Tangier, starts in, like, a crystal shop. A guy's selling crystal, like, glass stuff, and not doing that well. So the boy comes in, he's like, you gotta clean up all this stuff and, like, present it a bit better and whatever. And he, like, helps him out, and he starts to, like, make some money, make some wages, saves a little bit. And the guy's dream is to go to Mecca. And this guy's dream is obviously, you know, to go to the pyramids. But he says, he starts to fall out of love with the idea, and he thinks, I just want to go back to my sheep. And eventually he leaves, and they've got their money, and they count up their money together, and he says, look, we'll split this, and we've got this, and we've got this. And he says, I'm going to go back to my sheep, and you're going to go on to Mecca. And it's kind of sad. The guy says to him, like, you know that we're both lying to ourselves. I dream about going to Mecca because I want it as my dream. I'm never actually going to do it. And you're not going to go back to your sheep either. You're going to go on to the pyramids. So they've kind of discussed their plan, and they're both lying to themselves and each other that they're never actually going to do it. Which is kind of sad.
Why not just do it?
Why not just do it? Yeah, I mean, the guy doesn't need to go home to the sheep, but the other guy's like, well, you could go to Mecca. But he's like, no, it's meant to be there as my goal, but I'm never actually going to do it. The guy's very stuck in his ways, and I empathise with him. He's like, I don't want changes in my shop. It's fine the way it is, you know? And I was thinking about this today, and I know that people, you know, joke about me because I'm very set in my ways, but I do think that's sometimes valid. And for most of human history, people just lived in a particular way as a peasant, and nothing ever really did change. But we live in a current age of, like, constant innovation and change, that we almost belittle the idea that it's not okay. Like, I would love, for me, the most noble thing would be, this guy is 70 years old, and he's owned this sweet shop for 50 years. And he's just the sweet shop guy in the village, and everyone knows him, and he weighs out his little sweets into his scales, and that's it. But nowadays, we'd be like, oh, that's no good, why didn't you open 10 more and try to expand? And the guy's like, I don't need to, I've got my sweet shop. Like, for me, that's fine. And that's kind of a bit of what's happening here. They're just like, yeah, I don't need to expand. I don't need a bigger shop, or a newer shop, or a fancier shop. He's like, I got my little store, and I sell my crystal, and it puts food in my belly. I'm happy, you know? And I really respect that. So, start up a sweet shop, and do not be a CEO. That's what we've learned.
But what if they become the CEO of the sweet shop?
Ah!
Like, you've just put them in control of a sweet shop, Dean.
Yeah, I have. But then you're the shopkeeper, and you live upstairs above your shop, and you're not a CEO.
Yes, you're not franchising it or anything. Right?
Yeah. So, it's kind of nice. It's very simply told. It's well written. It reads a little bit like The Little Prince almost, in like the style of the writing and the way it's told and the way the characters kind of react to things. So his goal is to get to the pyramids. They eventually tell him, like, follow this troop of people. They're traveling over there, get on your camel, and they're all going to go together. But they get stuck in a war, so they have to pull into like an oasis. There's a random Englishman, really for no reason, like a scholar who's also going to look for the Alchemist. And then it's kind of funny because, I don't know, I find Englishmen funny in any setting that they shouldn't really be in. Like, put them in Victorian England, and it's like, yep, tick, 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 that's where they should be. You put them anywhere else, and they're hilarious.
But I imagine he also has the hard hat, the tan hats that you would wear. Like he's going
like he's
on a
Jumanji?
safari. Yeah, like in Jumanji, basically.
Yeah, no, quite potentially. And he meets some people along the way. There's like a merchant and a monk and blah, blah, blah. And this English guy, who doesn't really do much, to be honest. But it's kind of nice. The whole thing is nice. They go to this oasis and they do eventually meet the alchemist. They are about to get killed at one point. He has to give away all the money he's saved the whole time. But he tells them, they're going to kill him anyway. He's like, look, guys, don't kill me. I can turn myself into the wind. Because by this time, he's been learning stuff. And there's a nice scene where he talks to the wind and he talks to the sun. And he has to barter with them all to eventually get all the elements to conspire together to help him do it. Because he's like, well, you can't do it alone. And you know, the sun, he's like, you don't know anything about love because you just watch things from afar. You're not actually involved.
Aww.
And he, talks to the wind and he talks to the different elements. And eventually he's able to do it and all the chiefs are like, oh my god, you're fantastic. So they make him like a kind of revered, he's not necessarily their leader, but like an advisor or whatever, you know? So he stays with them for a while and he meets another girl there.
So he becomes Jafar.
Essentially. But it is weird because he thinks, what if I give up my dream and I just stay with the girl? And this old alchemist that he eventually meets says to him, that's not a good idea, because you'll give up on your dream, which was your destiny to find your treasure. That whole time, she's a desert woman. She's used to the menfolk going away in search of their treasure and coming back. She's already found her treasure. Her treasure is you. So you don't need to go find yours, otherwise you'll regret it forever. That'll make you sad. You'll stop being able to have your visions and your knowledge and your stuff that the guys are revering, and you'll just get kicked out in like a couple of years' time, and it'll all be for nothing. So like, press on, go to the pyramids, then you can always come back for your girl. So like, he's like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. There's some nice lessons like throughout it, to be fair, and the characters, there's not really bad guys apart from the one bit where they almost get kidnapped. In general, there's not really bad guys. It's a lot of like good lessons for people, and everyone's proud of everyone else, and all this type of stuff. It's a really good one, like for the kids to read. He eventually gets to the pyramids, and there's a guy on the spot. He's like, I had a dream in this exact spot a year ago that I would find my treasure in a little church in Andalusia. And it turns out that he had to go all the way to the pyramids just to get that clue. And then he goes all the way back home and asks the monk, and the treasure's like right there where he started. And he says to the monk, could you not have told me? You must have known. And the monk is like, yeah, but then you wouldn't have seen the pyramids. They're awesome.
I mean, it's the small things in life, I guess. And he got to have a nice trip.
He had a really good, like, character building, like, fantastic.
But how anticlimactic.
I liked it. Because it's like, this is really good. It completely changed him as a person. Great life experiences. He's also met the love of his life there. He's met the alchemist. He learns to do alchemy, but also learns not to value money. So that's the whole point, I guess,
But he didn't value money at the beginning.
He kind of didn't, but he gets some treasure anyway.
He just had some sheep.
I think he was happy with his sheep. The book ends with Fatima, who's the girl he met at the oasis.
Okay, interesting.
Sends him a kiss on the wind. And that's the last line. I was a little bit sad because I kind of wanted him to get with the first crush, but she just never comes back into it. But you know that I have this obsession with everything should end how it started. So I wanted him to just go back to being a shepherd and fall in love with the first girl that he liked to begin with, and for the whole book to have meant nothing, basically. Because that's what I want from stories, I guess.
No character development at all.
I think it's because I don't like the idea that, in my mind, there should always be a way to go back. Because, like, I'm a nostalgia-obsessed millennial, and I think that, like, going back is always the solution. So, in any situation, there should be, look at your flowchart, there should be an option to take you back. So I watched Breaking Bad, and at the end of 5 seasons, I was like, right, can we go back where he's just a chemistry teacher married to his wife again? And I was like, well, no, that's absolutely not going to happen. But I was like, well, that was the happy ending for me. Is like, I can do a lot of terrible things and then somehow fix it all. And sometimes these stories tell us that we can all fix it all. Alfred looks like he's bending in a bad way. Do we need a doctor for Alfred?
I don't think we can afford a doctor for Alfred.
Alfred, not in his private healthcare. But Alfred, with the salary you get, I mean, that you could probably get one yourself.
Now he's face down.
Poor Alfred.
He's not moving.
But I don't think I'm going to say anything else about this. Like, I don't want to go into too many of the like granular details of the plot. I've given it like an overarching view. I kind of spoiled the ending a little bit too. But the scene where he talks to it gets a little bit mystical where he's talking to the wind and stuff. And once or twice it says things that are a little bit religious as well.
Well, and also the girl is Fatima, which is very important name in Islam.
It throws me off a little bit, the religious aspects, but I have to say, like, 90%, I liked it. I think I would recommend it. Would I read it again? Like, probably not. Would I rush out and read more Paulo Coelho? Probably not, because this is his best book and it was fine. It wasn't like, oh my god, it wasn't the first time I read a Dumas or something.
But it was better than the Johnson.
Yes. It's gonna get its yeah. More or less, I liked it. It was grand.